Hi, welcome to my blog today. I'm Lena with Bandit Sunset Crafts, and you can like and subscribe to the video, as well as visiting my blog on banditsunsetcrafts.com. Today we're going to talk about crafting and knitting, and I think you can guess what it is. The sweater that I'm wearing. I have always been inspired by Velma off of Scooby Doo. She was always one of my favorite characters, and I loved introducing Scooby Doo to my son when he was little as well. So I had wanted to make a sweater that looked good on me and reminded me of Velma. My first attempt did not go well. It was the pattern and the yarn just did nothing for my figure. And so one thing that I would suggest if you're gonna make a sweater is I would suggest that you go out and you try on sweaters and find that favorite shape that you like and that you look good in. And also, if you have a sweater that at home that's one of your favorites, you can measure that sweater as well, because you already know that that one looks really good on you. And that's one way to make sure that you have a sweater that looks good. And you also know what size and shape looks good on you, because when I first started making sweaters, I had a lot of trial and error. The first sweater I made, I got very lucky. Picked a yarn, I started knitting, and it fit perfectly, which is often not the case. Doesn't always work that way. Because a lot of times we're not a one size fits all. The measurements in a pattern don't always match up with our measurements, because the pattern measurements for small, medium, large, and so on and so forth can actually vary a little bit. And that makes a difference on how it looks. Also, the way that the shaping of the sweater also makes a big difference in how the sweater will look on a person as well. And one of the other major things is to, if you don't have that favorite sweater that looks perfect on you and that you love, I highly suggest that you take your measurements before you ever start knitting, because you don't want to just guess what your measurements are, because I did that. The first one worked perfect, but when I gained a little weight and I made that same sweater again, it was really, it looked great at the top and looked really bad on the bottom, because I didn't do the measurements that had changed when I had gained weight. And you always want to do the measurements exactly. Don't do them too tight. You want to do exact measurements, and you want to do it at the largest part of your bust. You also want to do it below your bust. The middle, halfway between the bottom of your bust and your waist, do one there. And also do one at your waist, and also around the largest part of your thighs. If you're shaped like me, I'm top heavy, or bottom heavy, sorry. Bottom heavy. I'm smaller at the top, and then I gradually get larger as I go down. Or pear shaped as well is kind of what it is. And so if I made something that fit at the top, but then didn't do the measurements as we went down, my sweater would not look good on me. So you want to make sure you have sweaters that are shaped to your body type, or you're going to do that shaping yourself. And one of the things is the benefit of a top-down sweater is you can knit the top and then to a certain point, and then you can put it on string waste yarn through all your stitches and tie it off, and you can take the needle out, and then you can actually try it on as you go. That's one of the big benefits of a top-down sweater, and that's how this one is made. And it is really handy because since I'm a pear shape, that's one problem. The other one is I am also very petite. I'm 4'11½". So that makes a big difference on length of sweater because I am gonna have a shorter torso. And so if I can try on my sweater, I can adapt the sweater to fit my body and fit the length of my torso. Because if I knit sweaters according to the patterns, especially if your model and the pattern is 5'8" and I'm 5 foot, you're gonna have a lot more length in the top torso of that pattern that I'm following than what I need. And that way you can adjust as you go. And another way that I do it is by trying it on. I can get to that point where I'm gonna start to get a little larger on me, and I can actually put the sweater on and see if it looks good, or if I need to start increasing. And I hide my increases at the bottom along the sides because most people aren't going to be looking along the sides along your arms, because your hands and your arms are going to be hiding them. And that tends to be where I add those increases as I get further down. And also when it comes to the hem of the sweater, I'm going to stand up so that you can see the hem of the sweater. And one of my things that I do is right before I start doing the ribbing, I change to a larger knitting needle, and then I do my hem. Since I am getting larger at the bottom than the top, that allows for it to be a little looser because I bind off really tight. And that way that fixes that problem. And so this sweater is a slight modification on Caitlin French's pattern for Yarrow. I used her Yarrow pattern. I did do some modifications because I added the cowl so that I could have my Velma sweater. And then I had to switch sizes as I moved down. And where I needed to, I would just move up to the next size. And that's how I get my stitch numbers. Is when I would go to a certain point and then I increase right here. And I would increase to the next size pattern up in 2 rows. And then it would gradually increase as it goes. And that really helped me because being that pear shape. So I'm going to show a picture of her pattern. She has, I think you can buy the pattern on its own, which is Yarrow. And you can also buy a pattern book of hers called, I'm going to slaughter it. Sorry about that. I'll spell it afterwards so that you can spell it correctly. It's Hiraeth, H-I-R-A-E-T-H. And I'm going to show you the picture real fast so you can see what it looks like. And the only change that I did was adding that cowl. And mine's just a little bit shorter. But it's an absolutely beautiful sweater. And I have made other ones as well. And I will be showing those on different videos because I like to experiment with yarns. And the picture, she uses a different yarn than what I did as well. She uses Scooby Drift. She uses a Scooby Drift yarn, which is rather beautiful soft gray. Whereas I used Yarn Bee's Tender Touch Apricot. It's a nice fuzzy yarn. Has a nice little halo to it. I have it in a variety of other different colors too. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. And it's a coral, so it'll really clash with my sweater that I have. So it has a nice halo to it. And it's really soft. It's really comfy, and it's actually really warm. And it is 100% acrylic, 135 yards, and the needle gauge for the yarn on the pattern or on the label is a 10. And I have this yarn in the apricot, which this sweater is made out of. I also have it in a black, a red velvet, which is a really dark red. I have it in coffee as well, I think, which is a really beautiful brown. And Yarrow, the sweater pattern actually uses let's see. It uses size 8 needles. And then when I do my ribbing at the end, I use size 9. And I used, it was either 4.5 balls of the Yarn Bee. And I am, one of the things is I really am very happy with this sweater. I love wearing it. And I absolutely can't wait until next Halloween where I can actually wear it and dress up as Velma. One of the downsides I'm going to say, if you're going to knit a sweater for Halloween, you need to start early so that you can actually get it done by Halloween. I started probably a week or two before Halloween, and then I didn't finish it till Christmas. So it was a great sweater to wear for Christmas. So that would be one of my warnings, is start a little earlier. But I absolutely love this sweater, and I would suggest that if you can go out and make one of your own, because it is an absolutely amazing sweater pattern. It's really easy to follow. And I would suggest that anyone try it out. So you can take my word for it, or you can go out and buy the pattern book yourself and you can try it out as well. And I would love to hear what you think. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me.